All right, let's take Pappy away. He's looking demonic. So we have a cool looking armored panel, but we need to give it a matching metallic leg. A lot of people worry about metallic, so in this tutorial we're going to show you why you don't need to. I'm just quickly going to do a little bit of extra prep on this. The observant amongst you or the stripping knowledgeable ones might realize that this is the second time I've painted this. The recording didn't go right the first time, not the painting, so hopefully I should be well practiced by now. Just smoothing off any bits where the model has been clipped off the sprue, because I noticed when I did it the first time there were some bits I hadn't prepared well enough. It's got this weird tag bit sticking out, so anywhere that's that obvious is worth just giving a little bit of TLC. My general rule of thumb is if it faces upwards and can be seen from the top, it's worth the time. If it's underneath, you make a decision whether it's worth your time or not. Obviously we don't need to prep anything here because that'll be hidden by the big piece. Let's jump in and do some incredible metallics super fast. I'm going to give you some really good tips about color selection as well that'll help you out whatever color the metallics that you have to paint. Primed, not perfectly, but enough. Just a light dusting is really, really helpful. Move that out of the way so don't ruin it. Quick discussion on colors. So if you want a bluey steel, you can use blacks and blues or off. Incubi is a really interesting color. It's like a deepy green, but I always think it's kind of, it looks like the type of colors that I imagine being in steel. And then you could use something like Nuln Oil and Drakenhof for shading steps. If you are going for a little bit more of a rusty one or a warmer one, you could use colors like these, and you can mix them all together, which is what I'm going to be doing. Part of the reason for choosing Rhinox is it's present in this, so it just keeps my colors a little bit coherent. I don't know if I'm going to need the black, but we'll see. First step, let's prepare our paints on our palette. Oh no, has it happened? This is sad, guys. Rips in the chat for the death of the channel's very first Game Air Silver, which is about to die. That's lasted me about 7 years, I reckon. Okay, get our Rhinox prepped and on the palette. I think we might have to lose the channel's very first mixing brush and very first and only silver, practically, as well, in the same recording. That'd be devastating. People often ask about the shaking and mixing of Citadels, by the way. When they're older and less runny, because they do evaporate, they need shaking less. They separate less, especially if you scoop them out the lids, but really, practically speaking, you should always shake them, just in case people wonder. Okay, base coating. Pretty simple here. Brush selection, gonna go for an extra large, Series D, using the dampening pad and Series D, of course. Get ourselves started, and let's get a base coat down. I'm gonna put a little bit of the black in, actually, just because, well, I'll at least give myself some on the palette. Just because I want to be able to keep things dark in the first steps, and because our priming wasn't like perfect. A little bit of the silver in there. Very simple rule of thumb for this one. We're just going to reduce the amount of non-silvers that are in our painting as we go. So the first step is going to include a lot of other colors and be darker. And then each step after that, we're going to reduce those paints, leaving proportionally more and more of the silver, or use only the silver, whichever way you want to put it. And that's going to make sure that as we step up in terms of our highlights, they get lighter, but they're also going to get like literally more shiny. So each step we do, our highlights towards the edges and the details will get shinier and shinier. Base coat is down. See, that's like a dark steel, but it's got some other colors in it, which is what we're going for and really wanted. Just make sure that I've not got any drifts anywhere. I don't know how I'm going to do his toes. They're a bit annoying. I don't have like a bit to hold it by apart from this. We'll do our best. Yeah, I guess I could have glued this onto a base. That would have maybe been an easier way of doing it. Right, base coat is down. As you can see, it's really not that metallic at this stage. That's absolutely fine, and that is literally what we're going for. It's more important that we haven't missed any bits. There's no gray showing through from our light prime, that type of stuff. Made sure the piece was fully dry. I just hair dried it a little bit. It's very cold in the UK, so my drying times have dramatically slowed down. Clean out the brush. And now, as we kind of suggested, we're just going for a higher percentage of the silver in there. I've not fully cleaned the brush, but you can see there's not very much on there, and it's definitely not a bright pure silver. What we're going to do now is carefully working our way from the top and on the very detailed sections that have got strong edges to jump onto. We're going to build things up. Now it's just a matter of repetition here. Generally going from the top, so make sure those edges are hit. Just repeat, repeat, repeat. And you see I'm turning my brush round. I've taken the paint off one side, so I keep turning it around, go to the other. We're just going to do this all over. Don't take too much silver. We're using a really strong one, therefore we've got to be quite careful. That's the bit you'll get wrong. Trust me. If there's one bit that you get wrong on this, it'll be taking too much of the silver when we've used a very potent one and doing something that just stands out as being too strong. So carefully, too little is way better than too much. And make sure that your strokes are coming from the top down. Starting to look really good already. It's just about doing quality dry brushing, and you don't have to do, you can do loads of steps if you want, but with stuff like this, particularly when you're trying to build up the idea of like age and shiny stuff, I think it's really nice to just go and go and go and go. So we've already built up to a really solid level. And what I'd encourage you to do at this point, especially if you've got it conveniently like I have, is just assess it with the panel on. So I think I want things to be brighter towards the top. That's important for me. But maybe these hard lines that I've got here separating panels, maybe I'd like some of that to be going on in sections like this. So hopefully that's something we can achieve. Now, setting up the brush for this careful step. We want some water on there so the paint that's going to be put on it will leave really easily. You can see I've only got a bit though. It's only enough to slightly reawaken the paint that's on the brush currently. And it's still definitely not a 100% clean brush. Fixing the silver. I'm removing tons of it and I'm testing it on the texture and the nubbles on my palette. You can see it's just picking out just about. Again, top down and repeating. Again, nothing new, nothing different from last time. It's just we've got a lighter, more dangerous paint on a brush, so we need to be even more careful. When you get confident, then you can do circles and stuff. But for now, just from the top to the bottom, repeat, repeat, repeat. Don't forget the back, which I had 100% forgotten. We start carefully and start on a super detailed section where it'll just pick out the edges. Make sure to turn your model around as you're working, and just the reason is to just check that you haven't missed out any, blaring errors. I missed out the entirety of the top of this bit, which should definitely be a light color, and the back of it as well. That's a bit that sticks out, as well as this. I specifically glued this as it was optional, at an angle where I'd be able to get a brush in, by the way. Always worth considering that stuff. Okay, cool. Looking really good already. You could absolutely leave it there. What we're going to do though is we're going to see what we can do about kind of going in. We've been working from the top with the dry brushing, so we're going to try and do something that concentrates, and on the edges, we're going to do something that try and concentrates on the recesses and the bottoms of areas, just to aid it looking super three-dimensional. Okay. So our options as far as mixes go. Number one, get our big brush. We've got number 4. We looked at these 3 shades. Now I'm going to start with Nuln Oil. Nuln Oil is quite soft actually. So even though the color black is associated with, making a big, really obvious difference, I don't think we need to worry about it too much here. And I'm going to put a little bit of that Agrax in, not too much though. So we have been working hitting all the top. What we're going to try and do with this though, is we're going to try and pull it towards the bottom of sections. So obviously it's going to get in the recesses, and we're going to aim for it to be in the recesses and around the hidden shadowed edges, but we're going to be pulling our strokes downwards. This is also going to knock back the very shiny edges because everywhere is being hit, and that will allow us to re-establish them. Any areas you want to dot, make particularly strong shading, you can do it on purpose if you like. Got any shiny top sections, you can always lick a finger and then just wipe it off there. Very fast and easy and tactile way of shading. So it's that all over. Make sure there's no big pooling. That's the only thing you need to be conscious of really. Not fighting gravity, so I'm making sure that it's only running downwards. Okay, so we're basically just going to do exactly the same step that we did before we did the wash. So a very careful and conservative at first, light silver dry brush. Still with a great big brush, no reason to drop down. And we're going to start off at the lightest bit. Everything is exactly the same here as it was the last time we did a comparable set. We want that bit really shiny there, because it's the top of the ball, it'd be reflecting the light. Aside from that, just normal dry brushing. There we go. Brilliant. It's a really good way to get kind of high impact metallics that are super shiny in some parts, but don't look like too happy. Nice dark war-torn galaxies. And even the towel can't be shiny all the time. Hitting more on my downward strokes, getting some on the upward strokes, but it's most important to hit it from the top and then hit those edges, which you just do by directly hitting them from 90 degrees. So not going down, but going into them. Make sure that whatever bit you're holding it by has been caught, and also any bits that are angles that you know you've missed from the first steps. One of the reasons to do it like this rather than just stopping after the dry brush is you get a second pass. Any of your stuff from the wash that was a little bit sloppy, you should pretty much hide and obscure underneath this. There you go. Amazing. Do some scratches if we want. Do them in exactly the same fashion that we did here. That is one cool looking robot leg. Pretty fast. If you're doing that all over a model as well, you can do it all at once. Every step, do all over, and it'll get more efficient because each time you set your brush up, you can use it more and more. Obviously, doing a big model, even if you're doing it on a small model, using a big chunky brush is a really good idea. Want to do those scratches, by the way? Check out any of our content we've done on kind of brush control and loading. I'll make sure that that's popping up on the screen now, and we'll link a relevant video at the end of this one too. Just about setting up your brush carefully. Doing a couple little scratches. Normally they'd be coming from the edges. You can do it however you like though, and you can stipple stuff on those edges too. There we go.
Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.